Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Hey, Aaron, check this out.
What is this?
This is a client of ours who stumbled across this huge mama bear and baby bears. What do you think about how close he's getting filming this?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, there's an old saying about this, Aaron. Sometimes you get the bear, and sometimes the bear gets you.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. The Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Our program today starts out with a live well, die broke moment of sorts brought to us by one of our clients at Tony Walker Financial by the name of Rick, who upon a recent trip to Alaska spotted this Kodiak bear and her cubs. Thankfully, he got a pic of the bear before the bear got a pic of him, if you know what I mean.
He hoo, boo-boo, he. Pray do.
You know, but getting too close to a potentially dangerous situation with a mama bear and her cubs does beg the question when approaching anything of potential danger. Yes, even dangerous investments that can cause loss and pain. It's the thrill of getting too close to something of an unknown danger, and that unknown danger coming back to, well, bite us. Don't believe me? Just take a look at 2008 to see what the stock market did. Oh, speaking of bears getting the best of us, I've got to ask Aaron Orander, Derek Hudson, we've all got our bear stories. Can I start with my first camping story?
Of course, go ahead.
It doesn't involve a bear, but I used to always go camping with my dad, and one night when we were camping, I hated camping to be honest, something always terrible happened. A dog was outside, and it sounded like a big dog of our tent most of the night, sniffing the whole time. So we slept through the whole night, didn't sleep actually, through the whole night, woke up the next morning, we're both peeking out of the tents, afraid to get out. Luckily the dog's gone. But I mean, it was a scary moment. It wasn't a bear, but that was my scariest moment camping.
We're all gonna die! There's monsters out there! I see their eyes!
You got one, Aaron?
You didn't sleep through the night. You
I
got
did not sleep.
Got through the night. Got through the night. Yeah, I guess mine sort of, it's kind of involves a bear. So, for those who have been listening to the show, the past couple of years, I have kind of taken up the hobby of hunting, hobby, sport, whatever you want to call it. And the very first time I ever went out hunting was with a buddy of mine from church. He was like, well, I'll take you out. And, they say, if you want to learn how to do something, you follow around somebody that knows what they're doing, sort of, So he and I get out to, and I won't say where we were, we get out to this nice plot of land, and it's about 5:30 in the morning, and we're, getting stuff out of the cars and, everything else. Well, I've got a hunting bag that my rifle sits in. So I put that on my back, and we start walking the 2 or 3 miles to the, the deer stand or whatever. And we're walking through this field, and my buddy's just talking real low like this, and blah, blah, blah. And, we're being sort of quiet, but not like, not talking. And he's just kind of talking and, blah, blah, blah. And he finally looks over at me and he goes, where's your gun? And I went, oh, well, it's on my back. It's on my pack. And he went, well, get it out, man. There's predators out here. There's, there could be bears out here. There's, coyotes and, rabid dogs and stuff like that. So I just kind of thought, oh my gosh, the last thing I want is a bear poking up.
All right, Derek, you've always got a good story. What's your bear story?
Yeah, when I was in the Cub Scouts, they would give us advice on,
You were a Cub Scout?
I was a Cub Scout. I was a Boy Scout briefly.
Okay, go ahead. I guess I could picture you more of a Cub Scout than a Boy Scout. Yeah. Go ahead.
So they told us about avoiding bears. There was 3 important things to remember. The first is to bring pepper spray, because, bear spray or whatever. The second is to wear something loud so they can hear you coming and avoid you, so something like bells. And then the third is to stay out of their territory. And the best way to do that is if you see their poop. And you can identify bear poop because it has little bells in it and it smells like pepper.
All right. One more quick story. Okay, that was a good one. About the bear getting you or whether you're going to get the bear. For those of you in Bowling Green, you might relate to this. There was a gentleman there, a used car dealer, I'll just say by the name of Steve. My dad loved Steve. In fact, my dad back in the 70s when he ran what was called then the Barren River Mental Retardation Board, now Life Skills. But anyway, he bought several vehicles from Steve for the organization for different things. And I never forget, my brother Marty turned 16. Dad and me and Marty go down to Steve's Auto Sales, and there's this 65 Burgundy Impala. You guys ever seen a 65 Impala?
Sure.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, this thing was really pretty, and Dad, back then, remember, this was 74, asked Steve what he wanted, and they negotiated. My dad thought he was a good negotiator, but he wasn't. But anyway, he talked Steve down to $400 or whatever it is. We drove off. Dad's, like laughing all the way to the bank, according to him. He's got the deal of a lifetime. We hadn't driven down the road 2 miles. I'm sitting in the front seat. Marty's driving. Dad's in the back. And I said, man, Dad, this car sounds so loud. He goes, that should be fine. It's fine. Well, for whatever reason, Aaron, I pulled back the carpet underneath the floorboard. There was no floorboard. You could see the pavement going under the street, under your feet as the street went by. So that was Dad's introduction into the used car world. He goes back to Steve. He goes down there. He knows Steve, but he's a little aggravated. He goes, hey, Steve, man, this car, I think you've sold me a lemon. And Steve goes, hey, we made a deal. And Dad keeps complaining, and he interrupts him. He goes, Richard, he's got this little smile on his face. He said, in the car business, there's an old saying. Sometimes you get the bear, and sometimes the bear gets you.
He forgets, and I quote myself, I'm smarter than the average bear.
All right, let's get into the show, folks. Officially, welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, Tony Walker, along with Aaron Orander, America's favorite financial sidekick, Derek Hudson over there feverishly working on today's TV show, which we always do following the radio show. Incidentally, we are recording this show on September 5th, actually, 2023. So hope everyone had a safe Labor Day out there, and hope you're having a good day today. All right, so this whole idea of bears and the unexpected danger that lurks out there upon approaching any, I guess, wild animal, wild dog, whatever it is, the same holds true in the world of finance. Folks, there are so many financial bears out there, and much of the problem arises in where you're getting the information to be equipped to deal with these bears. Kind of like Aaron walking, he's thinking he's got his rifle packed, and he's got to have a more experienced hunter that tells him, Aaron, you better get that rifle out when you're walking, partner. The same thing holds true in finance. Understanding how the financial world works, understanding taxes, fees, all the things we're going to talk about today. But when we come back, we're going to dive into some articles, and I call these financial bear traps, where you're out here lurking around trying to find information on the internet or whatever, and many of these articles are just plain wrong. I'm Tony Walker. When we come back, we're going to teach you how to get the best of the bear out there in the financial world. You're listening to the Worry-Free Retirement. We'll be right back.
Sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes the bar, well, he eats you.
That some kind of Eastern thing?
Far from it.
With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years, I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started.
Our Tony in the Trenches starts off with our theme about so many people becoming less and less trustful of many things out there, including the financial bears that are lurking around every corner. This comes from Brenda up in Sellersburg, Indiana, who asks, Tony, I keep hearing people talk about the government taking over our IRAs. Should we be concerned, and if so, is there anything we can do to keep this from happening? Goes on to add, where does this notion of the government taking over the retirees and these accounts come from? Well, Brenda, I'm afraid some of this comes from not only just articles written by financial pundits, but also many in the financial world. And here's one particular article. This one is coming from Annuity Watch, and it literally says, is the federal government eyeing your 401k plan? Now, what's interesting, it comes from Annuity Watch. Now, folks, you know me, I love annuities. Annuities have a wonderful place, but the article in Annuity Watch, as you read it further and further, assumes that if you invest in annuities can be placed inside IRAs. You don't see them much in 401ks. I think you're going to see that trend increasing more and more as custodians are going to have to start offering annuities in 401ks. But anyway, annuities can be placed in IRAs. But folks, that doesn't mean if the government decided to take over your IRA, your annuity is going to be protected. This happened back in I guess it was in the mid 80s. The government decided to actually tax pension plans held by closely held businesses. They put an extra tax on it just for the heck of it. So could they put extra taxes on 401ks, IRAs? Of course they could. Are they, quote, literally coming after your IRAs and 401ks? Folks, I've seen no indication of that. So again, you have to be careful reading articles like this. Not saying it couldn't happen, but many times the people writing the articles have something to gain by creating a little fear in you, and you got to read these articles closely. Let's take another look at an article here. Aaron is sitting here. I've got a bunch of these articles. In fact, here we go. Derek just passed off some of these. This is kind of an odd article. It came out of Investment News on August 18th, 2023. It says, advisors should not talk to clients about aging because most don't like it. Aaron, you've been to a lot of our client events and been seeing people coming in and out of here. On average, what would you say the average age of the client coming to Tony Walker Financial is? Average 60 to 65. Bingo. So let me ask you something, Aaron. If you're 60 or 65, getting ready to retire, would you think it'd be very odd that I would not talk to you about the aging process and down the road and who's going to get these assets? Sure. Yeah, so according to this article, though, their opinion is many of the older-minded people in this world don't want to talk about it. They would like to talk about longevity, how long they might live, and certainly that's why we use mailbox money and annuities to protect against from them running out of money. But it says, U.S. adults, most of them feel youthful in their retirement years. Again, maybe you do feel youthful, folks, but if you are retired or retiring soon and your advisor is not talking to you about the pros and cons and the pitfalls, we're going to be talking about this, of these tax-infested IRAs and, eventual nursing home costs. Folks, you have to deal with the reality of aging. So make sure your advisor is talking to you and don't skirt the issue. This is another, and this is kind of stems from what's happened with the pandemic. Aaron, did you realize they're already starting to talk about COVID again? That's becoming a hot topic, and whether we should be wearing masks. Man, hopefully politicians, please don't do all this again, folks, and lockdowns. I mean, and here's what part of the financial bearism came out of that thing. This one's in Investment News, August 9th. Same author, actually. This guy's a pretty good author, Steve Randall. But anyway, August 9th, 2023, here's what it says. Average 401k balances are up from last year, but so are hardship withdrawals. Do you know what a hardship withdrawal, Aaron? What's that name imply?
I've heard you talk about it before. I don't remember the definition, but yeah, I think about the first word in that difficult.
Yeah, things are tough.
Difficult, yeah.
Yeah, so what's happening is because of the pandemic and a lot of what happened there, and I think a lot of people got used to free money and they just kind of overspent. Now they're having to go into those 401ks and take loans out and take withdrawals under hardship provisions. So you can either take a loan, or if you can claim a hardship, that means you've had financial difficulty, you can take money out of these 401ks and avoid some penalties, but that's not a good sign if you're having a hardship. Here's another effect of just the financial bears and the pandemic and everything that's been going on the last couple of years and where we are right now. This deals with inflation, Aaron. We don't think about this, but if you are dealing with inflation, if you're the average American out there, I think the grocery prices, I saw this, are up 17% now. Have you seen how much grocery prices are up?
That does not surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. I thought it might even be higher than that. I went to the grocery the other day. I like to grocery shop. I like throwing out $100 bills. Makes me feel like I really got some money. I put a $100 bill down. Granted, a few of the items were a little more on the high price. I bought some coffee and that kind of stuff. I got back, I think, $3, and I walked out with 2 bags of groceries. Kid you not. So it is expensive out there. But what's happening is, back to saving for retirement, this article says inflation is weakening 401k savings ability for millions of Americans, says Charles Schwab. And again, what they're noticing is, according to a new survey by Schwab, Inflation is challenging the comfortable retirement. Most people see market volatility as an obstacle. Many people are just not sure what to do. Oh, here's this Annuity Watch article. I wanted to glance at this real quick. They say that this is a different Annuity Watch. This is a good one. This is basically saying that clients need to avoid something called financial ignorance. And while I admit that people come to me and say, Tony, I don't know a lot about this, folks, it's very easy if you stay in your lane, if you invest in products you understand, if you have a written game plan, there should be no reason you feel financially ignorant. In fact, Aaron, I think I just brought this book in today as we record this show on September 5th. We have taken great pains at Tony Walker Financial to create a brand new book called The Worry-Free Retirement Process. Now, I wrote a book years ago called The Worry-Free Retirement. This is totally different. This is called The Worry-Free Retirement Process, and in it, you're going to find out everything I've discovered over the years, all the different things that you need to be aware of, all the different hurdles, all the different products that are written and intended for savers. Plus, as an added bonus in this book, many of the forms and documents that we recommend people take, like the spending plan, starter kit, etc., are laid out in there. So it's kind of written like a workbook / textbook. So if you'd like to order this book, you can just go to Amazon, and it's called The Worry-Free Retirement Process. You might have to look up the book under Books by Tony Walker, but it's in there. If you have trouble locating it, just call the office, or you can email Gina at TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and we can make sure to get you some help on getting a copy of it. Great book. Also, we have a little special offer. Anybody who takes advantage of our free fiduciary phone call, the 10-minute free fiduciary phone call, if you're retired or nearing retirement, or maybe you have an old 401k plan out there that you'd like to discuss, we are going to mail you a hard copy, absolutely free, of the Worry-Free Retirement Process. That's for anybody that logs on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and clicks on that Let's Get Started. We're going to mail you one of these absolutely free. Okay, when we come back, the discussion has been this idea of the financial bears lurking around. We started off with Rick, one of our clients, who literally stumbled across a huge Kodiak Berner Cubs. Fortunately, he made it out of there safely. But the same may not be true for you as we discuss 5 of the major bears, the financial bears lurking out there that most savers do not consider, that we can help you avoid. I'm Tony Walker. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. We'll be right back.
Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no-obligation appointment. Let us help you today.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, folks. I am America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Ornder. So, Tony, back to our stories about bears. Well, I guess the lack of bears, really. I didn't really see any bears, but it did make me think of a joke. You ready?
I'm ready. Lay it on me.
All right. So there's 2 people in a wooded area, and they happen to actually run into a bear. So the first person gets down on his knees and he starts to pray. And the second one starts lacing up his boots. The first person asks the second person, "Buddy, what are you doing? You can't outrun a bear." And the second person responds, "I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you."
That is a good one. Okay, so we're thinking about this whole bear business and this sage advice that a used car salesman shared with my dad in 1974, where he said after Dad recently purchasing a lemon from him, where Steve told my father this: "Richard, sometimes you get the bear, and sometimes the bear gets you." And maybe that's how you feel right now when it comes to your money and those financial bears always after it. The bear getting the best of you instead of maybe you getting the best of the bear. Incidentally, speaking of bears, one of my favorite comedians is Jim Gaffigan. I love what he says about when you're out camping. You know, we talked about me camping and that wild dog outside of our campsite earlier. He laughs about the idea of one of the options of what happens if you stumble across the bear is to play dead. Play that audio clip real quick.
Last time I went, I got this pamphlet that said if a bear approaches, you're supposed to play dead. Really? We're going to rely on my acting skills?
Okay, so assuming you don't want to just play dead and roll over for the financial world, let's talk about some things you can do right now. And I'm going to name 5 of these. 5 things that most people make a mistake of with the financial bears and what you got to do. Number 1, putting way too much money into that tax-infested 401k plan. Folks, one of the biggest problems I see when people come to me at age 60, 65, whatever, is most of their net worth outside of their home, almost sometimes 90, it's a huge number, is tied up in that 401k plan. Now, the 401k plan is a great savings plan. You've heard me say that, folks. That's fine. Great. You're putting money in there, but you need to be more tax diversified. You can't have 100% of your money in a pre-tax 401k plan. So please, please, please don't max out your 401k plan unless you have other assets in other places. Then consider maxing out that 401k plan, which leads to our next situation. The number 2 financial bear out there is most people have no idea how to deal with what I call the tax tumor. That's the amount of money inside the 401k or IRA that is yet to be taxed. And unlike the typical tumor that goes away when we die, this tumor gets passed off to the kids. And with the recent changes in the tax laws requiring beneficiaries, the children, to take this out within 10 years of your death, imagine the potential tax liability they're going to have on this money. So again, we at Tony Walker Financial can help you get a plan of action in place now to deal with that tax tumor. Also, keep in mind, when you just start yanking money out of these tax-infested IRAs, a lot of times we've talked about this. It will affect your Medicare premiums. It could affect your Social Security taxes. And also, it can throw you into our next situation here, which is tax bracket creep, where the extra income coming out of these plans in retirement actually forces you to pay higher taxes, not lower taxes. Number 3, stockpiling, let me repeat that, too much money in the future without a written game plan to make you feel comfortable in spending the money. You know, Aaron, I often ask savers, what is the point in saving money if you're not going to spend it? Have you ever saved money for like a vacation or something?
Of course.
Okay, if it's earmarked towards the vacation and you've saved the money, you've been successful saving it, do you feel funny when you spend it? No, really, right?
Not really.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's a little harsh, but that's what you saved it for, right?
Right.
Hopefully the spending of the things you want to spend money on is for fun, and you got to make sure you've got some of that money targeted to the things you want to enjoy. But that's going to be hard to do. It's going to be hard for you to enjoy that money and spend it if you don't have a written game plan that confirms that it's okay to spend it. Let's see, number 4, paying too much in fees for others to manage your money. Now, our fees through our Charles Schwab platform, with Charles Schwab's fees involved, generally are less than 0.9%. That's everybody. And that's for us to pick the funds. That's for us to send you distributions. That's for us to analyze and calculate your taxes on those withholdings. All of that. Also, all of the funds we choose with Schwab, less than 0.9% on most occasions. Now, the average money manager fee we see with all of the expense ratios, folks, you've got to look at the expense ratios. It's not just what the money manager is charging, but is around 2%. So imagine you've got several $100,000 invested. You know, we're charging roughly, let's say $3,000. The average money manager is double that. Folks, that's an extra amount of money. That's double every year you're paying in fees that you'll never see back, nor will you ever earn any money on that. So over your lifetime, these could be huge numbers. So if you feel like you're paying too much in fees, if your advisor won't disclose the fees, if they seem to just kind of gloss over them, I highly recommend you get a second opinion from us. Let us look at your portfolios, your investments. We can analyze the fees to make sure they are reasonable and competitive. And finally, I don't know how people can do this, but the worst financial bear I'm seeing is everybody putting all of their assets into one single investment. Whether it's just everything in one annuity, whether it's in one stock, whether it's in one mutual fund, depending on the type of mutual fund, of course, but that is a recipe for disaster and very dangerous. This is why we created something called the split IRA concept. Now, this concept can be used for IRAs. It can be used for 401k rollovers. It can be used if you received an inheritance. It can be used for lots of money sitting over at the bank, languishing away, that you feel like you need more oomph behind it. Maybe need to get up and lace the boots and get out there, as Aaron told about that joke. So here's how the split IRA works. We set up a Charles Schwab account, which we have 3 portfolios, and the Schwab account is there for potential growth and liquidity. Liquidity means you can get access to it at any time without charge. Then, in most cases, we will set up annuities. The annuities are there for a backstop. They are there for the protection, so you won't lose any money. Plus, depending on the type of annuity you might choose, we can provide some of that guaranteed lifetime income that we refer to as
mailbox money.
So, folks, here's the thing. If you feel like right now you're lurking around out here in the financial world and you're maybe going to feel like you're going to stumble across one of those Kodiak financial bears and not sure what to do, my advice is meet with us. Take advantage of something we call the 10-minute fiduciary phone call, where we'll just find out what's going on, if we can help. And if we can help, we're going to meet in person at no cost or obligation at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. Either myself, Tony Walker, the owner of the company, or you'll be meeting with one of our highly trained salaried fiduciaries. So log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started. If you do that for a limited time, we're going to immediately send you a free copy of our book, the latest book, The Worry-Free Retirement Process, at no cost or obligation. And or you can just call us at 877-499-9255. Well, in our time remaining, when I come back, I'm going to talk about a project I've been working on, and it has nothing to do with money, but with having fun with your kids and grandkids. Some wonderful good news coming up. You're going to want to stay tuned. I'm Tony Walker. We'll be right back.
In the financial world, advisors are often divided between 2 categories: money managers or annuity specialists. My question is, why not have both? At Tony Walker Financial, we specialize in investments and securing guaranteed income you can never outlive. You know, we're more than just annuities. So if you're retired or retiring soon, why don't you give us a call or log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and I want to share something really fun with you. Speaking of fun, Aaron, I know you're a parent. I'm a parent, but my kids are grown, so I really consider myself a grandparent. So I'm talking about the daily grind of each and every day with your children. Would you say life is a chore, or it's fun, or both? How would you describe life in general with these young kids?
I would have to say, honestly, it's both. Some days more of a chore, some days it's more fun.
And in closing, folks, I would have to say now that I'm a grandparent, it's a lot more fun than it's a chore. As the old saying goes, we can always send them back home with their parents. But in light of that, you may be aware about a year ago, I wrote a book called The Adventures of Tony, Baloney, and Cookie about my childhood growing up with my dog Cookie. And it came about by telling stories to my grandkids, Scout and Ivy. So we wrote a book. We also have now produced an animated cartoon. All right? And a theme song. This is really cool. And what I would invite you to do, if you could do me a favor, go to TonyBaloney.com. It's BALONY. TonyBaloney.com. Check out the website. You can order the book, but also check out the cartoon. It's going to take you to the YouTube channel where that cartoon, Tony Baloney, is hosted. It's only about 6 minutes long. Would appreciate you watching it, liking it if you like it. Share it with friends. We're really trying to get some traction, with my goal being the idea of creating a series of cartoons that you and your kids and grandkids and nieces and nephews can enjoy not just now, but long into the future. So it's TonyBaloney.com, and we're going to close out the show with the Tony Baloney theme song. But until next week, you make it a good day, and I hope you enjoy the song.
Yes, sir. Roger and Wilco, over and out, 10-4, and transmission. Au revoir.
Tony Baloney, T-L-E-Go, Tony. T-legged, toe-legged, bow-legged Tony. Tony Baloney, T-L-E-Go, Tony. T-legged, toe-legged, bow-legged Tony. Tony Baloney, T-L-E-Go, Tony. T-legged, toe-legged, bow-legged Tony.